Have you ever noticed that as your group grows, things can start to feel a little bit different? You get less engagement, you might get fewer replies, and people will just sort of start disappearing into the background. You're not just imagining it, there is actually a reason behind it, and it's called Dunbar's number. And it explains why once your membership, of course, hits around 150 people, connections drop, unless you know what to do. In today's video, we're talking about the psychology behind community growth and why you can't treat 500 people the same way you can treat your first 50 members. So, if you're building a digital membership or an online community, it is essential to know this. I'm Nikki Kelly, founder of Wisdom, and it's a platform that helps you sell your knowledge, build your own private online hub, and grow your business without the tech overwhelm. Big on that one. And we're here to help you understand how to really get people connected with you and learn online. So, what is Dunbar's number? And I really hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar studied human psychology, human relationships, and found that we can only maintain that stable social tie with about 150 people just at once, right? And it's not a social media limit, but it is a cognitive one. And what this means is in tight communities like ancient villages, military units, and so forth, and even modern workplaces, 150 people is usually the point where things will shift a little bit. So what's that shift? Well, it's people stop knowing each other's name to a degree. It could be trust starts to dilute a little bit because I don't know you as well. Engagement can even start to fade unless you manage it intentionally. Now, apply that to your online community, your online membership. The same effect does show up. So what does it look like when it comes to an online community? So let's say you've launched a course with 30 members. It's intimate, it's active, you're applying to everyone. It's fantastic, right? And then you go to 80, still manageable. But at around 150, you will start noticing a few things, a few shifts. Some posts might get fewer replies. You might not recognize everyone in the group anymore. And some members might actually go quiet or even invisible, right? And you can't respond to every comment personally anymore. Now, you might think, what's wrong? What's, happening in your community? But actually, you just hit Dunbar's threshold, the natural limit of group cohesion. Now, what that could be is some people just who originally were there, like those founding members, they're not feeling seen anymore. They're just sort of going to sit back a little bit, and that's why they're not interacting as much. But let's talk about what to do about it. Now, when you hit this point, it doesn't mean that you should stop growing. It just means you need to adjust how you lead in that community, in that membership. And here are some things that actually work. So 1, create subgroups or cohorts. Break larger groups into smaller interest-based chats or streams. Let people connect around shared goals. That's a really popular one. And another one is nominate community facilitators or champions in that group. And this is quite common when you do hit that higher, hundreds threshold. This is where you invite active members to help welcome new people or start threads, etc. This will really help spread the engagement beyond just you itself. The third one is use tags, use badges, use visual identifiers. People will feel more seen when they're recognized, and simple tags like founding member or wins this week, let's say, for example, can boost that visibility and connection between those members, feeling like they're actually a part of this membership. They have a reason to be there. There's that real connection. So the fourth one is layer your interaction. Not everyone needs your direct attention, but little groups can go a long way. So that could be, mixing your broad posts in within those smaller groups or creating those small group calls or private replies, having that sort of interaction with specific groups. You've got your smaller cohort or something, interact with them. You've got another cohort that does this, interact with them. They feel still like they're in that smaller group and then getting that personal interaction from you. And the last one is ask better, smaller questions. So a lot of the time is how's everyone going and so forth, or what's the emotion emoji you're feeling this week, blah, 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 right? But one thing you can actually do is instead try a question like, what's one thing you learned this week? And what that actually does is it does spark easier responses in a sense because people know exactly the direction they've got to go in. What's the thing that I learned this week? They will reply. And what that actually does, it can trigger off other members in the group, new or old, to dive in as well. So the main goal is to maintain a sense of intimacy at scale And that will take structure, not just, good vibes all the time. So to wrap this up, Dunbar's number shows that around 150 people is pretty much our limit for personal connection. And as our communities may grow, engagement will naturally shift. So small tweaks like subgroups, community roles, late interaction can help the experience feel more personal and human with your members. And the last one is, don't shrink to stay small, grow with that structure. So some things to look at after this video, check your community size. Are you nearing 150? If yes, well, choose one of the structural changes and test it this week. Start with a new welcome thread, could be putting a member spotlight out there or a small themed group out there. These are so popular, and you'll probably notice this in some of your networks that you're in or groups that you're in where there are quite a few people in there. And remember, engagement doesn't drop just because people don't care. It drops because the human brain just needs that little help keeping up. So if this video did give you some clarity on growing your community, then I would love for you to hit like and subscribe and the notification bell just so you don't miss our next videos. And look, if you're ready to create your own private community, online hub, then visit wisdom.com.au. We'd love to see you in there. We have a free plan, so just dive in.